How do you multiply a number by 10? To put it simply, multiplying by 10 means that you move the decimal point one place to the right. But why is this true? Because the place value system we use is a base 10 number system. So, when you multiply by 10, you start using a new place in the place value system. Let's see what's going on through an example. You multiply 27.38 by 10. Multiplying by 10 means that you move the decimal point one place to the right. 27.38 times 10 equals 273.8. You can check your answer by using long multiplication. As 27.38 is the longest number, you write it on top. Remember to multiply one digit at a time. Anything you multiply by 0 equals 0. 0 times 8 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, 0 times 7 is 0, and 0 times 2 is 0. Remember to start the second row with a 0. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 7 is 7. And 1 times 2 is 2. When you add these two rows, you get 27380. The two factors have a total of 2 decimal places, so the answer requires 2 decimal places as well. The final answer is then 273.80, which equals 273.8. The method of moving the decimal place one step to the right was correct. But what if your number doesn't have any decimal places? The answer is pretty clever. All numbers have an invisible decimal point behind the ones place. Hence, 45 can also be written as 45.000. You can actually include an infinite number of zeros if you want to. As you can see, you now have a decimal point you can move one place to the right. 45 equals 45.000, etc. Let's use this to find the answer to 45 times 10. 45 times 10 equals 45.000, etc. times 10 equals 450. You don't have to write all these zeros, but it's important to know that they're there. That way, you always have a decimal point to move. This means that when you multiply an integer by 10, you can just write 0 behind the last digit, meaning 45 times 10 equals 450. Ta-da! Let's round off with 2 more examples. 2,198 times 10. 2,198 is an integer, so you can just put a 0 behind the last digit. So 2,198 times 10 equals 21,980. The second example is 0.038 times 10. In this case, you have a decimal point you can move. So 0.038 times 10 equals 00.38, which is equal to 0.38. In the last example, you suddenly had 2 zeros in front of the decimal point. When you have several zeros in front of the decimal point, you can remove all but one. When you multiply a decimal number by 10, you can just move the decimal point one place to the right. When you multiply an integer by 10, you put a 0 behind the last digit.